Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome back to the Watchpoint Post Show. We're coming at you live from the Blizzard Arena, the end of our epic Stage 3 Finals. Hello everybody, I'm your host Chris Puckett and I'm joined at the desk by the whole team. A fantastic day, and you said it, we were going to a Game 7, we got it tonight. Zoe, Brendan, Sideshow, what do you think of the day?
Oh man, it was everything we wanted and then some. What a fantastic match to end this stage.
All right, Bren, now we started off the playoffs with some confetti. You picked the Shanghai Dragons tonight, so we just gotta close out Watchpoint with a little more. Congratulations, you saw it from the get-go. Why were you so confident with Shanghai today?
Firstly, the map pool. Honestly, if I'm going to be serious for the first time in my life, the map pool suited them. I feel like this,
I can really take you serious.
This was Shanghai's stage to really take it all the way to the distance. They've now beaten the top 3 teams in the league. They've beaten New York, they've beaten the Titans, and now they've beaten the Shock. Is it now time to say, are the Shanghai Dragons, are they the best team in the world?
I haven't listened to anything you've said.
We'll get to that in just a bit. For now, we got to take a look back at how we got here. It all started hot for Shanghai with a big gamble coming out of the San Francisco Shock. They played 3 players in the starting lineup that haven't seen stage time since February and April. It went in favor of Shanghai, but a pretty close first map.
Incredibly close first map, and this is where I think coming out of this match, when people look at it with the benefit of hindsight, they'll be asking big questions about the roster fielded at the beginning here. But I would be of the opinion that this was a reasonable gamble to take.
So would I.
And I also think it's a fallacy to assume that San Francisco would have won with their normal roster. It was a big gamble. You can argue against it, but I don't think it hurt the outcome of the match as a whole.
Yeah. If anything, it was quite a safe gamble to make realistically as well, given how bad the Shanghai Dragons have been on the hybrid maps, which was the next map. You know, if it doesn't pay off, you get the map pick. It suddenly plays.
And then you got Numbani.
Yes, well, unfortunately that...
Sure,
yeah,
but Numbani's probably going to come up at some point during the series anyway, if it does go to 7, because obviously there's a whole different type of hybrid map, but this was where it looked like Shanghai Dragons were running away with it.
Yeah, and partially of that was because Youngjin, he popped off on that Doomfist, that's so much work, and also Luffy and Koma once again really stepped it up. It's something I complimented them at yesterday, but today Koma once more getting away with necromancy, right? As we talked about it yesterday. No, he got phrase. It's a great phrase, isn't it? No, but he got away with so many great rests, and he almost broke his own rest record this stage, which is currently at 12 rests per map.
Wow.
It's quite a lot. That shouldn't happen.
12 rests in a single map. This one around 11, I believe we were keeping track in the back. And looking at Youngjin, we mentioned his Doomfist. I feel like it was the perfect counter to not only Rascal on the Batiste, but he was hitting so many tanks.
Yeah, and Youngjin is really the glue that holds the style of the Shanghai Dragons together because he plays so many different heroes. Him and Dding are definitely the point of your spear, but the shaft of the spear, I don't know where I'm going with this analogy, is certainly Youngjin. He's the person that holds it all together. But the San Francisco Shock undeniably adapted as the series went on.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the way that the stage playoffs are, you only meet this team once. If they'd met them another time, perhaps they would have got the better end of them the second time around. But this is just the strength of the Shanghai Dragons style, is that they are going to catch you unawares and force you to play their game.
That was so big from Choi Hyobin. Drops the bomb down to keep Shock in it. But it was the Shanghai Dragons that looked stronger in our first 3 maps. They had all the momentum.
Absolutely. And at that point, it becomes worrying, right? Because once the Shanghai Dragons have got up such a head of steam, what were the Shock going to be able to do? It comes down so much to that veteran presence of the leaders on the team, like Sinatra, to rally people behind. And we saw many more flavors from the Shock in the later maps, and they also had the choice of picking the maps.
I mean, they started like showing us a little bit more versatility already on Horizon, for example. I just felt like the switches came a little too late, to the point where when Sinatra finally switched onto the Zarya, it took him forever to get his graph up, so they didn't really have the all-stay required to win the team fights.
I love that confetti is still falling behind you. Now, we talked a lot about the DPS players in this matchup, but Zoe, we gotta highlight the backline. Let's talk about the Shanghai Stars.
Yeah, absolutely. So Luffy, I have been hyping it up yesterday. I've been doing it this morning, and I would just continue right now. So let's take a look at the numbers and see how he fared in this match. Again, absolute insane. This is only for the first 3 maps. Look at the amount of enemies he actually got to sleep, as well as the biotic grenade kills. And that is an Ana which is going up against Choi Hyobin, all right? Against a diva extraordinaire and against a usually very solid tank line, which is usually blocking these kind of shenanigans from the Ana. But because Youngjin and Dding and Diem spread so much chaos and managed to really take that whole front line apart, he was just able to hit all these crucial abilities.
Yeah, and I also want to point out that I thought the counter to this would just be to go really hard onto Luffy, but we saw we saw Shock try and do that a lot throughout the series, but the peel was sublime from Shanghai. They were keeping him alive, Coma popping Valk for the extra healing, body blocking, trying to peel people away. I mean, it was a real coordinated display, not just individual talent from Shanghai.
Everyone was so good today. It was Shanghai jumping out to a 3-0 lead, and that put them on match point. But the Shock weren't going down without a fight, as we show you here, as we take a look back at Havana. This is where things started to turn back in SF's favor.
Yeah, and this is where my narrative for Choi Ho-won being #1 MVP candidate started to come to life, because his hog was freakishly good.
It was.
It's
he's in the club,
actually
for sure.
unbelievable. I could not believe it.
Which club is that?
The Big Hookers Club.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, there we go.
The guy can do it all. Like, the guy can do it all. On the Roadhog, he was denying. I mean, I love the Roadhog pick. It generally fits with what the Shock are running when you've got Super on the Orisa, but it adds the hook. You can hook Dding out of a lot of these barrages, what their bread and butter is of the Shanghai Dragons composition. It just allows you a lot more damage as well, shield pressure, but he was just a fun. I mean, just look at this stuff. The stuff he's pulling off, I haven't seen this since 2016 Snizzle Nose. It's a name that some of you might remember, probably all 2 of you out there, but yeah, I mean, he's just had an unreal game.
You did recognize that was Youngjin for a few of those highlights, right?
Still unreal. It's great.
Still unreal.
Still
Yeah,
very
it's unreal. I was just seeing the hog and my eyes were blinded.
Yeah. The San Francisco Shock, though, were then brought to Ilios, which, as Zoe was mentioning at the half, this was their worst map statistically. And for them to adapt enough to bring out the win, this to me is the only reasoning you can take as to why it was potentially a mistake to run the alternate lineup for the first control map. Because if they won the second one and it was Ilios, where they're not supposed to be favored, then perhaps they would have won the first.
When we went to Eichenwald, I had a feeling we were going to be seeing a draw. I don't know why. There's a feeling in my bones. Spoiler alert, we did not see a draw. But it was a very close match between these two teams. Both of them pushed all the way into the final checkpoints. Yeah. It suits a lot of what they like to run here. I feel like Shock kind of threw the game a little bit in terms of what they were running. But in the end, it was the...
Are you referring to that Reaper at the very end? Because at this point, I feel like that is their point C defense strat.
Yeah,
Sinatra has been literally doing this like 4 times in a row now.
I think really the problem with point C was just that DM got that crazy hack onto top and denied the soundbar. You can't really plan around that, but they still came up with a really clutch play. That set up everything on Dorado. And obviously, the Shanghai Dragons were going to take them there. You don't want to go Gibraltar, where Shock are undefeated, and it was a slugfest. But
can we call this out? 3:35 on the clock after you capture point A. They didn't get around the corner.
No, that is crazy to me. And honestly, I think so much of it was DM. They were hyping him up at the end, you know, the rest of the team. And DM just applies so much pressure. You have to send 2 people to go and shut him down and jump all the way to the back of the Dragons, otherwise he's going to kill you.
Yeah. This section, though, of Dorado is brutal if you're playing against a Widowmaker player, because your sight lines are absurd. You have so many angles you can take. You have so many escape routes. Like, Sinatra has to play aggressive angles like this, even though he knows he's going to get jumped, to just stand a chance of trying to push out DM in these fights. And it's so risky for Shock to try and push this one out, but you got to just try and shut down DM, which didn't end up happening. He created so much space for Dding to just be absolutely popping off the barrages.
Another thing that I want to bring up as well when you get down to it is that the Shanghai Dragons could have so easily crumbled on that final map. They were staring a reverse sweep in the face. They're perennial, I don't want to say perennial chokers, but the core of this team have missed out on championships before because of issues like that, where they take the lead and end up getting reverse swept. But they kept that mentality all the way through to the end. Were able to come clutch when it really mattered.
I can't believe Dding on Farah today, especially the barrages. His team covers him, yes, but he knows exactly when to pull that trigger. 58 total barrage kills over the course of their 7 maps. But it's time to take a look at who is named our player of the match, presented by Omen by HP. So many great players today, but our Shanghai Dragon that is going to take the honors has got to be Dding, popping off from the very beginning of this battle.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is just a freak. I've said he's
in the best
possible way. He is probably the most mechanically skilled fire player I've ever seen in the Overwatch League. Yeah. The teamwork that he fits so nicely in with the rest of the Shanghai Dragons, sublime. The barrages is never a wasted moment. From his aim, from his movement, his cooldown usage, it's all on point. And I mean, statistically, he's just, again, phenomenal. It's absolutely insane. The amount of efficiency he gets out of the barrage kills you see here, 58. The fact that that number is even higher than his deaths is a miracle to me.
The thing is, on paper, it should be, quote-unquote, so very easy to shut down a Pharah. And it is for other teams, you see. But because he has the backline he has, and because he has DM as well as Youngjin, like sowing chaos everywhere else, he can go uncontested. And if he is contested, then the rest of the team is uncontested. So they get it done regardless. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brett. Sharing your
Beautiful.
goods. We love it. On that note, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll break down all of the action for today, including the best moments. Don't go anywhere. It's the Watchpoint Post Show.